Usually takes a few minutes. I checked the I think the microphone is working. There we are. Yep. Okay. Great. We are live. Welcome back to another WCN Live here in the Wilson County News Break Room. My name is Kristen Weaver, Director of Operations, and I have three guests with me today. Please introduce yourselves.
Yes, good morning. I'm Chief Bermudez. I'm a production recruiter in San Antonio for the Coast Guard.
Thank you.
Chief Jose Torres. I'm currently the acting recruiter in charge at Recruiting Office San Antonio.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I am Commander Stacy O'Neill. I'm the commanding officer at Navy Talent Acquisition Group in San Antonio.
Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoy this conversation. We're going to learn a lot today to see how they affect what they're doing affects our community. First, I want to thank our sponsor, The Price Way, which includes the dealerships Price, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep, and Richardson Brothers Chevrolet, who are located next to each other on 181 here in Floresville. You can shop all makes and models, as well as a huge service department and careers. Thank you, The Price Way, for being our sponsor for many WCN Lives. We appreciate you. Next, we are going to ask you to draw us a winner. We have a comment contest every week, and what we ask you to do is comment while we're live, and then your name will go into our drawing next week. So if you guys would do me the honors and draw me a winner, please.
One each or just
one?
Of us?
I need one. Who wants to take the...
All right. All right, I will take it. All right, let's see who the lucky winner is. Karen Stefanik.
All right, congratulations, Karen. Thank you. We will be reaching out to you and letting you know that, Karen, you are a winner of a C Street Gift Shop gift bag, and congratulations. So you guys be sure to share this video, get everybody watching today, and y'all place your comments in there so that we can draw you a winner next week from you. So thank you so much. Okay, so let's start this off and go through each of you. We'll start with you, Commander.
All right.
Just a little bit who you are again, and which branch you're from.
All right. Good morning again. Commander Stacy O'Neill. I am with the Navy, the best. And I'm born and raised in Greenville, Mississippi. I joined the Navy right out of high school in 1994. Don't do the math. Okay, but I've got 30 years of military service, and I'll wrap up my career here in San Antonio. Best place to do that.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you.
Okay, Chief Jose Torres. I'm with the United States Coast Guard. I'm a maritime enforcement specialist in the Coast Guard. I'm also going to be wrapping up my time here, and I'm born and raised from right here in San Antonio.
Ooh, yeah.
So just grew up on the south side of town, so I'm very familiar with this entire area.
Yeah.
I was this close to becoming a Wilson County resident when I got
gosh.
here, but
Cool.
it just didn't fall through. We know housing's a little crazy. So.
Yeah, maybe one day in the future. Still,
Yeah.
there's still time. And you?
Yes, I am Chief Petty Officer Abdiel Bermudez. I've been in the Coast Guard for going on 20 years, almost 20 years now. Originally, I'm born and raised Vieques, Puerto Rico.
Nice. Interesting. Very cool. Okay, so the reason we're bringing this conversation to light is, the school year is wrapping up. We wanted to share the opportunity for our community to meet some of our local recruiters and hear about the benefits of joining the United States Armed Forces. So you've told us a little about yourselves, where you're from, very interesting, which branch you joined. So let's dive a little deeper. Let's see, where are some of the interesting places you've been stationed? Maybe let's start with that.
So I've all my duty stations have been here in the United States, and I started right out of high school, Greenville, Mississippi, and my first tour was Orlando, Florida for my boot camp, right? They've since shut that down, and now you have it in Great Lakes. But from there, I joined my ship in Naples, Italy. My ship was home ported out of Norfolk, Virginia, and I've gone from there to Mayport, Florida for a carrier tour on the USS John F. Kennedy. I got picked up for a commissioning, so I came in as an E1, E2, E3, E4, E5 before submitting for a commissioning, and that was my 10-year mark. So I commissioned as an officer. I went to Hawaii on a DDG, USS Chung Hoon, and from there I went back to Mayport, Florida, and from there, Newport, Rhode Island. If you haven't been to the New England states, I'm telling you, it's the best kept secret. Four Seasons are absolutely beautiful. But from there, I went back to Virginia, so you're starting to see the trend. I did have a West Coast tour in San Diego, but you're looking for the water. And my job as a surface warfare officer kept me looking for ships to get to sea. I love being at sea. If you've ever seen a sunset or sunrise at sea, you know there's something bigger. Yeah. So I wanted to go to sea. And the last tour they offered Texas, and I said, hey, Texas sounds absolutely amazing. I know that state is full of people that love to serve. They're all about service, and took the tour.
Wow.
Yes.
That's great. And what about you, Chief?
Cape May, that's where our boot camp is at. After that, immediately got stationed in Louisiana. I came in 2004, and if you remember the big event that happened in Louisiana, Hurricane Katrina. So yeah, I was thrown headfirst into the law enforcement and urban search and rescue stuff. So I fell in love with the Coast Guard literally within my first year. I was like, this is amazing. I then became a machinery technician. So one aspect about the Coast Guard is you can actually come in and see all the jobs first before you choose. So I was dabbling in a bunch of different things. And that's what I chose to do because I saw the level of law enforcement I could do in that realm. After I became a machinery technician, I then got stationed at the Maritime Security Response Team. It's our kind of premier counterterrorism unit in the Coast Guard. So I did a lot of things that I originally had no idea the Coast Guard even does. So after that, loved that line of work. Went to Tactical Law Enforcement Team South in Miami, Florida. The job there is just high-end drug interdiction. Just teams, small teams, 8, 10, 12 people. And we actually, that's where I had most of my sea time, which was actually with the Navy. So I have a good working relationship with the Navy, doing counter-drug operations off the coast of South America. That is when my current job came into existence, Maritime Enforcement Specialist, so I naturally lateraled over. After that, went to the Maritime Safety and Security Team out of Houston, kind of just to do anything, anywhere, at any time, pick up and move for disaster response, high-level security events, things like that. After Houston, wanted to take it down a notch from the 3 consecutive tours in our deployable specialized forces, and went to sector boarding team in Virginia. And there is kind of just the local law enforcement thing, screening ships that are coming in and out of our port so that they don't pose a threat to the United States. And then put in for recruiting, got selected, and I got lucky enough to get my hometown.
That's amazing. Incredible.
So yes, just like Chief Torres, after enlisting, I enlisted out of Jacksonville, Florida. Went to Cape May for boot camp. After boot camp, I got stationed on Coast Guard Cutter Gentian out of Miami Beach, Florida. Great first tour that took me to places I never thought I would go. I traveled the entire Caribbean, South America, went through the Panama Canal twice, did a lot of training with other countries' Coast Guards and Navies. So that was a really interesting tour. That's where I developed a love for health services and decided to go be a health services technician. So I went to my A school, that's what we call where we go for our training. It was in Petaluma, California, just about an hour north of San Francisco. After training, I got to go back home to Puerto Rico and was stationed at a clinic in San Juan, Puerto Rico for 4 years. From there, I went to the Maritime Force Protection Unit in Kings Bay. That unit was in charge of providing protection to the Navy's nuclear submarines for going in and out of port. From there, I went back to base Miami Beach, where I became a clinic supervisor and then administrator. From there, I went to Corpus Christi, Texas, again, as a clinic administrator, ran the entire clinic. And from there, I decided to put in for recruiting because I wanted to share my experience with all the young folks out there, tell them how great the Coast Guard has been for me. And I got San Antonio, I guess, for my bilingual skills. And
Probably.
I love it.
Wow, so such varied jobs and experiences. Very fascinating. I can see how you really can find purpose. It's very motivating and very inspiring to hear your stories.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. So what about then, you've already kind of hinted, like there's a lot of different jobs and ways that each of your branches can help someone explore or find their purpose. Maybe tell us a little about that. What are the type of jobs you could go into?
I think that's the great thing about it is that there are so many jobs and so much opportunity, you know, from media to mechanics to medicine. The Navy's in every element. You know, if you want to fly, we've got, you know, helicopters, jets, on the seas, and different types of platforms, from small ships to larger ships to medium ships, and then underneath with subs. And so when you join, you realize, oh man, these are great things that I can do. But for instance, taking my enlisted rate as a machinist mate, where I worked on the mechanics of the ship. That didn't isolate me to one ship type. I was on an oiler, and then from there I went to a cruiser, and from there I went to a destroyer, and so the list keeps going on. And you find even within a specific rate, there's various types of jobs to do in that rate, and it keeps expanding. I mean, now we have gamers, because you're flying unmanned aerial vehicles, right? So when you think, all right, this is what I want to do, talk to a recruiter, because that job's available. Photographer, journalism, it's a vast amount of opportunity, and sometimes we get limited by media or television, and it's like, no, you know, I'm not going to be able to do this, or I'm not going to leave the military as a holistic person. Each of us sitting here can tell you we've had a number of wonderful experiences, and we're going to go on to do great things in our community once we transition. So it's getting the information and getting the correct information. But there are various jobs out there, and I can guarantee you that what you love to do, you can find in the U.S. Navy. And don't limit yourself to thinking that it's not available. Ask the questions, because we've opened it up. We're as dynamic and as diverse as our culture and our cities and our states, and we're continuing to evolve to keep up with civilian and civilian life and how we've grown. So we're doing everything now.
Amazing.
Yes.
What about the Coast Guard?
So the Coast Guard is actually very different from the other branches.
Okay.
We only have about 20 or so jobs. That's it. The biggest difference is that we didn't have the need to really turn every aspect of some field into its own career field, if that kind of makes sense.
Okay.
And we also have the opportunity for people to join, advance all the way up to pay grade of E3, and they didn't have to choose that job if maybe they, you know, in my instance, I thought I was going to want to be one thing. I wanted to be a damage controlman when I came in. Then I saw the law enforcement side of things, so I became a machinery technician. And then I changed over to maritime enforcement specialist when that became a specialty. So if you're not really sure, you can actually come in and see them with your own eyes, and make probably the best informed decision possible as far as your career, where you want to spend the next, you know, duration of that enlistment, or for a potential 20-year career. The issue of getting out or having it, this job is not what I thought it was going to be, is not really that big of a thing in the Coast Guard, so to speak. But one of the best kind of examples of that is actually his career field. So I'll let him talk about his a little bit.
Yes, so as I mentioned before, I'm a health services technician. In the Coast Guard, as a health services technician, you're able to do everything related to the health field, health or dental. In my career, I've worked as a lab tech, pharmacy tech, x-ray tech, behavioral health specialist, clinic administrator. I got my EMT certification. I've been able to do minor surgeries on patients. It's basically limitless, the things I'm able to do as a health services technician in the Coast Guard. I actually went to pharmacy technician school with the Air Force, and that's where I got some of my information on how other branches kind of explore the health services field, where the airmen at that training, that's basically all they were going to do the rest of their career was pharmacy tech. The Coast Guard doesn't limit us to that. It pretty much lets me do all the fields. My last 2 tours, I ran an entire clinic, so I was supervising all those different departments. And there are other opportunities to go from there if you want to be a commission officer as a nurse. They've opened that up for our enlisted folks. They have a doctor's program that just came online 2 years ago. If you wanted to go and become a medical provider. A ton of different opportunities in the health services field within the Coast Guard, and not just the health services field, all over. That's why we have just 21 jobs, because we're able to expand
Within
in
those.
those jobs.
Nice.
And the biggest thing also is you can come in and get into other areas. Some of the biggest amount of law enforcement officers we have in the Coast Guard are actually not me, the maritime enforcement specialist. There are boatswains, mates, and machinery technicians. So you're talking about having this amazing skill set, and if you wanted to get out, you can still put that you were a diesel, outboard engine, jet drive mechanic, but also a federal law enforcement officer. So it actually gives you two different avenues to go with. So they just might get their training from somebody like me, but you get that designation as well. It's not kind of typecast into just one single title. So you can get a lot done in the Coast Guard.
And I want to comment, we're not competing, we're just explaining what the options.
Yeah.
And so the Navy incorporates all of that, right? So a master at arms, the law enforcement,
Yeah.
the medical, we have dental hygienists. A lot of people say, I don't want to go to sea. You don't have to go to sea. As a medical technician or HM, YN, you can be on shore duty your entire career. But we encompass all of that, and that's sometimes what people don't understand. Is like, all right, what are the jobs? You name it, right? So we have a vast number, and then you can move in rates. So you join, and you know what, I don't really like what I'm doing. I would like to transfer to this. You're able to do that. And we understand that sometimes you may come in and have a change of heart, or you see something that's like, all right, I want to do that now. So you're able to come in as a seaman or a fireman and then mature through that. But the beautiful thing, and I think this is all services, is that you can have a career and not have a college degree. Right? So you can still make chief, you can still make senior chief without having a college degree, and then go back and get that degree later, right? So I came in as E1, I read at high school. I promoted through the ranks, then got a college degree, and was commissioned. So the opportunities are there. People just need to know what's available.
Right, right. What's the best approach then? And are we, so this is a good time, we're talking about like high school students, considering that field, even young adults, and they would need to reach out, probably talk to their counselors at the high school, but find a recruiter. So how do they do that? How do they go find you?
Well,
and study it?
Navy.com, and you'll find local recruiting stations nearby. And I want to be clear, like, we're not advocating for the military, we're advocating for a plan. If you say, you know, hey, I want to go to college, okay, let's do that. The military can help with that. There's actually, you know, we pay for college. If you say, you know, I don't know what I want to do right now, or give us 5 years and you're progressing in a career with a retirement, and you know your brain fully develops at the age of 25, and maybe then you start to think, you know what, now I'm ready to go to college. Well, you've got the GI Bill, right? So oftentimes people think, you want me to join the military, I want you to have a plan. And as long as you've got a plan, if you bring that to a local recruiter, we can help solidify that plan. Now we give you focus, we give you discipline. What better way to achieve anything that you set out to, right? Allow us to work hand in hand with your plan and best develop that, providing you the services to be successful, getting paid, traveling the world while you're doing it, right? So, yeah.
Wow. Well, you touched on the GI Bill, so let's talk about that a little bit. What does that mean? It pays for education. That's
Correct. So for everybody that doesn't have any military family, be careful who you talk to about the GI Bill. If you talk to an old head, they're going to give you information about the Montgomery GI Bill.
Okay.
That was an old thing. That's what I got initially when I came in. You paid into that, things like that. Now what's being given out is the post 9/11 GI Bill. So the biggest difference between the two is that once you're using it after you get out, it gives you a basic allowance for housing wherever you're going to school at the rate of an E5 in that location.
okay.
So the biggest difference between that is you had, back then when the Montgomery GI Bill was being used, is that you have someone who's been pulling a full paycheck, used to taking bills, car payment, rent, all that, and now they have to go to school full time, and they're like, wait, I still have all these bills to pay, so I still need a full-time paycheck. So at least your housing is covered, and then sometimes it's that money is yours to do with what you see, what you want to do. So if that means you're going to move back into mom's house and give them $500 a month, cool. That means you're pocketing another $1,200. So maybe a part-time job at best. But that is probably the biggest difference. It's going to pay the tuition and your books, but it is going to make life much easier than what the old Montgomery GI Bill was there for.
Okay, very good. What about, is there a different culture, you would say, with each of the branches that you would find?
Very much so.
Yeah, a different
Absolutely,
feel.
absolutely. I think the Navy, our culture is definitely shipmateship in looking at the person, right? We want to make sure the person is good to go holistically. Mental illness is a big thing now. Once we focus in on the person, meeting their needs, providing the resources, we automatically get a great sailor. Right, so we're focused on the sailor. We're focused on them having the needs that they need, and then we're achieving the mission. And we believe they go hand in hand. There isn't an ideal of, all right, you're going to achieve the mission to the detriment of culture or morale. Right, so we focus simultaneously on bringing that up together. And a lot of young people now, they enjoy their Wi-Fi and their coffees, and so we have ships that have this ability now, Starbucks or fast food line where you want to grab a burger and get back to work. So we're just as a dynamic, and we're adjusting. So you go into a ship and you're thinking, all right, it's going to be uncomfortable. No, we've widened the racks, more headspace, televisions inside the rack, right? Wow. So most times you'll walk into a berthing and the PS whatever is hooked up, and this is their pastime still, right? The gyms are phenomenal. You're underway. You're still able to work out and do those things that you would normally do. And connection to family is immediate, where we would have to send an email. Now you've got the ability to call. The email is fast. You're able to get updates immediately. So we've adjusted with the times, but our culture is definitely taking care of that sailor so that sailor can take care of us.
Nice. And what about Coast Guard?
So the way the Coast Guard culture, I would say, mainly differs from the other branches is really a product of our mission. Our two main missions are going to be search and rescue and law enforcement. That's what we do on a daily basis. So if someone is familiar with the culture at police departments and fire departments, that is very much what it feels like at your first unit. Because regardless of what's going on in the world, politics aside, whatever, our missions don't change. There's always going to be people that need saving. There's always going to be some kind of federal law enforcement that we are going to be enforcing, be it locally or, as it comes out of, the drug trafficking area or migrant interdiction, something like that. So because our mission is always basically on, we do have, from the outside looking in, a little bit more of a relaxed culture. But, don't get me wrong, we can definitely flip the switch to military, but when we have to. One thing we didn't cover is how to reach us. So go coastguard.com, regardless of where you are in the central Texas area. If you call, regardless if you're watching from, up near Round Rock, you're probably going to work with one of us. We cover such a vast area for one office, so I guess kind of good and bad. So if you have questions that you want to, like, we could be the people that are picking up the phone. We're an office of 8, currently a little understaffed, but we'll fix that this summer. But we will try and get to you. No matter where they come from, we can kind of be mobile and go get to whoever kind of needs some information and needs to meet up. So
great. Is there anything else that you guys want to cover and let the community know, or something to think about that we haven't already? Because I feel like y'all have given a very good explanation for, and reasons to join, given it purpose and everything. But
one thing I'll say is that oftentimes when I speak with a young person, they say, hey, I want to live my best life right now, right? And it's like, by default, you can't. If you live with your parents, you're not able to live your best life, okay? Let me just say that. I can assure you, the three of us sitting here never look back and say, hey, I wish I smoked more weed in high school. I wish I'd partied more in high school, right? And I say that because it's time to step into your future, all right, manifesting the best version of yourselves, right? And that means, getting up, moving your body, eating well, all of that. So joining the military requires a certain amount of physical fitness. And oftentimes you see people that aren't getting out and moving. So if you're looking to join any branch of service, you need to be taking care of yourselves. You need to be hydrated, you need to get up, you need to be moving. And I would tell you this, the first person you lead is yourself. So if you're looking to come aboard us, we're not last resorts. No, that's a negative. We're looking for the most elite here in Texas, the best and brightest, and we're willing to work with you to help get you there. But this isn't at all a default job. All right, I've decided that nothing else works. Let me join the military. No, we want those that are willing to put their best foot forward, manifest the best version of themselves, going to listen. And if you're not currently doing those things, you're going to struggle here. If you're not doing well in school, if you don't listen to your parents, if you're not going home saying, "Hey, Mom, what can I do?" Clean. You have to be kicked in the butt to clean your room. You're going to struggle, right? So start demonstrating those personality traits you need now to be successful in any organization. If it's not just military, any organization, right? So I need you to hear that because you're leaving high school now, and you've got to start your own legacy. What story will you tell, right? So. We're willing to work with you, but I guarantee you've got to meet us halfway. It's not just taking whoever comes in. We're looking for those that want to do the job and do something great and leave a legacy of service.
One thing I wanted to touch on is because it seems to be when someone does make the decision that, hey, I want to do this or get qualified to do this, that's really the first thing. The days of going into a recruiting office or going to the military entrance processing station and just keeping quiet, what I don't say, they're not going to know, is those days are long gone. So being upfront with recruiters about any potential medical conditions, law enforcement interaction, the bad kind, and any kind of maybe credit issues, things like that, is going to help you immensely. And don't think just because maybe I had this run-in with law enforcement or maybe I have this condition that you can't do this. There are things out there called waivers for a lot of things, and they're for all three of those that I mentioned. However, waivers are favors. They're not guaranteed. We will try our best, or we'll just be upfront with you and tell you, like, this is something our branch is not waiving at this time. Tattoos are a huge thing as well. I think you guys are a little bit more lenient than we are, but the policies are different across the branches. But we just updated ours literally a couple weeks ago to be very, very liberal. So you can have quite a bit. And then I guess the last thing, test score requirements. Yes, there is test scores required. The grades, not so much. If you have a high school diploma, GED, and in some cases they can even work without that. We can't, but I believe you guys can in some cases.
Yes, in some cases.
Yeah, you do have to pass. We all take the same test. We all go see the same doctors regardless of what branch you go to. And what you do with one branch is completely qualifies you for another branch as well. But what a lot of people don't know is that when it comes to the ASVAB, math and English are your best friends. So if you're in high school or about to be, pay attention in those.
Yes.
If you don't have the baseline math and English scores, it's going to severely limit whether you can even come in or what jobs are out there. Just because you have a mechanical brain, if those math and English scores are not where they need to be, so I would say, like, if you're studying for this ASVAB, anybody out there, spend the majority of your time on the 2 math and the 2 English subjects.
Good advice.
Yep. So,
do you have any words of wisdom?
No, I just wanted to throw in a quick plug. I know we're focusing on high school students currently. Just wanted to throw out there that we're taken up to the age of 41. So
Good point.
If
Yes.
you're already out of high school and haven't turned 42 yet, you can still join.
I put in two 40-year-olds for active duty just last year. So.
Even if you have kids.
Correct.
So,
Wow, this is
yes. No excuses.
amazing. Great. Well, you've had some wonderful feedback today, a lot of good mornings, and thank you for your service.
Thank you for your
we
support.
We echo that. And Sabrina Bateman said, "Woohoo, another Coastie."
Come by the office, we'll get you some stuff.
She also said being in the service opened up a lot of doors after she left.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing and great information. So,
And can we anchor on that for a little bit? Texas, San Antonio in particular, Military City, USA.
Yeah.
Whether you do 4 years or 40, doors are opening. I mean, you come back here and you can't throw a rock without hitting a military affiliate. Okay, so when you realize how Texans pour into the veterans and their military community, you stating that I've served it's a powerful thing, right? Not only does it open your eyes and give you more perspective on how to come back and bring more to your communities, but you've got to travel the world and see things. So let me tell you, in Military City, USA, it's an amazing thing. Yes, after you're done with service, even more opportunities. Hoo-yah.
That's wonderful to know that you feel the support. That's awesome. Yes. Well, I want to thank you again for all of your great words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing your branches with us, helping. This video may help those in our community know a little bit more and know where to go and that there's a lot of things to consider as they make their plan. I love that we're encouraging a plan. And I want to thank all of you also for joining us today, and hope that you do share this video. If you came into it a little bit late, go back and watch it. It will be here on Facebook as well as YouTube and also on our website. And we want to thank our sponsor, the Price Way, which includes the dealerships Price, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep, and Richardson Brothers Chevrolet here in Floresville. They are located next to each other on 181, and you can shop all makes and models, as well as a huge service department and for careers. Thank you, Price Way, for being our sponsor on WCN Live for all these weeks. We appreciate you. And again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here. And we look forward to seeing y'all again. Join us again next Wednesday when we'll be on WCN Live for another interview. Thank you again. Bye.
Bye.